Hey guys, this video is going to be my full in-depth review of the DR3500 Full HD camera by Blackvue. So this camera was provided to me again by blackboxmycar.com, which is a retailer based in Vancouver. They got a lot of high quality cameras on there, so I would check them out. They also have a great YouTube channel. So in this review I'm going to cover quite a lot. Besides covering the camera and the video quality, I am going to cover the PowerMagic Pro, and typically I wouldn't cover extra devices like that, but I do actually have the PowerMagic Pro, so I'm going to cover that a little bit on how that works and how that hardwiring capability can benefit a camera like this that has the parking mode. So I'm going to first start with the actual camera and what's included in the box. So in the box it comes with a pretty nice instruction manual. It's written very well in proper English. Comes with some cable clips so you can wire your power cord a lot easier. I personally don't use these very much. I typically put the cord up in the headboard. There's a little USB adapter for the memory card. I personally don't use these anymore because my previous one had issues and kept corrupting my files and even just erasing files. I'm not sure why, but I think it has something to do with the quality of this actual adapter. It's not made by Blackvue. I know some generic company makes them and then puts company logos on them. So then it comes with a power cord and the camera. So this one was the 16 gigabyte model, and Blackvue typically puts the memory card inside the camera, so as soon as you get it, it's already going to be in there. One thing I always love about Blackvue cameras is the actual design. So I already removed it since I've been using it for several weeks, but it would come with a 3M sticky pad there. And it's a really nice one. It's the clear kind. It's not the gray fibery kind, so when you take it off it comes off clean and then you can just roll it off. I really appreciate that about the Blackvue cameras. It is still the 3M adhesive, but it's just a better kind. So here on the side you can see there's a GPS in and the direct current in. So this does not have built-in GPS, and I don't have the module for that, but I don't really care. I wasn't going to use it anyways. So then the memory card slot. The memory card is a Blackvue branded one, as usual. So there you can see the front camera. It does not actually have a Sony CMOS sensor like a lot of the other Blackvue cameras. This is sort of their base model. So here on the side you can see the mic on and off and format. So you can see if you click it once that turns the mic on or off, or if you hold it you can format it. Now this white part around the edge is actually an LED light. It'll actually glow blue, which I am not a fan of. And you can turn that off, but it's still very noticeable. So I'll show you a clip of what that looks like. In a sec I'll actually plug it in and show what the blue light looks like also. On the back you'll see that there's a GPS light if you have the GPS module, a record light, and then a speaker. One thing that the Blackvue cameras have that a lot of cheaper cameras from China don't are voice alerts and different sounds. And that's probably one of the best things this camera has going for it, because it is a little pricier, or quite a bit pricier than a lot of other cameras that have the same type of performance. What's also really nice is it's really easy to remove. So say you want to hide it, you just pull the cable out, then on the back there's this lock button. So when it's in your window you hold it and it comes right out, and then it clicks back in and locks in. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this in and I'll show you what that looks like.
Initializing the SD card. Please do not turn off the power.
So I just formatted the memory card. Obviously, you'll only have to do this each time you format the memory card. They recommend you format once a week, but personally, I only do every few months.
For your safe driving. Starting normal recording.
So that's one of the things I really like about this camera. Even though it is a lot pricier than a lot of the cameras like the G1W or the A118 B40 cameras, some of those cameras I'm a little afraid that they're going to have errors or something, or they're not going to be working. I've had a few times where my INAV C2 wasn't recording and I didn't even realize. But when you start your car and power it on, it's going to tell you every single time that it's starting recording. That way you know it's working. So if you turn on your car and you don't hear anything, that's a pretty good sign that you need to check the camera. If there's an issue with the memory card, there's actually a alert for that too. It'll tell you to check the memory card. I've had that happen a few times with my other Blackvues. I'm not really sure what happened. Either way, it's nice to know that it will tell you if something's wrong with the memory card, and that way you know immediately to go format it. So there you can see what it looks like when it's lit up. It only lights up on the top and bottom, but I mentioned this in all of the Blackvue videos or the other Korean camera videos, that in Korea they actually want a camera that's very noticeable because they don't worry about theft as much. So Koreans want people to see this camera to warn those people that they're being recorded. They don't worry that those people are going to break into their car and steal it. So here you can see that always blinks, but you can go into the settings and turn both of those off, and I'll show those in a little bit. There's a user on Dashcam Talk named Alex Saul that is sort of the resident Blackvue expert. He posts a lot of video footage from all of the different Blackvue cameras, and he showed this picture where he disassembled the 3500 and spray painted the white ring black. So this is an obvious solution if you don't like that white ring. He also has a YouTube channel, which I'll show down below, with lots of footage from all of the different Blackvue cameras that you should check out. I'm going to go ahead and show a couple of the different audio alerts that this camera is capable of.
The Blackvue is now shutting down. No SD card. Please insert the SD card. No SD card. Please insert the SD card. Blackvue for your safe driving. Starting normal recording. Audio recording disabled. Starting audio recording.
I believe on Amazon right now in the US it's $189, and that's pretty pricey because you can get a panorama camera for that price. And that's where one of the biggest drawbacks of this camera is the bit rate. When I first got it, it was about 9,400 kilobits per second, 9.4 megabits per second, which is really low for just a single channel system like this. Now there was an update that bumped it up to over 10 megabits per second, and it does seem like it made a little bit of an improvement, but that's still well under the 12 to 15 that's ideal. Ideally 15 I think is the great middle ground, where you're getting really good quality footage but not wasting too much space on your memory card. But even though this camera is $190, a lot pricier than say the Street Guardian that I reviewed recently, or the Mobius and the G1W, is it does have a really nice parking mode. So if you pair it with this will let you, well, this is actually the PowerMagic Pro Plus that has 2 plugins, but you can get one that just has 1 plugin for a lot cheaper. I had to get this from Korea, but the regular one's available in the US pretty commonly. So this hooks up to your fuse box, and it'll let you power the camera while your car is off. And when it senses that it's been sitting there for a while, the camera will switch to a parking mode that will be a much lower power state mode, so you're not going to be draining your car battery too much. But if you do drain it too much, this box will actually cut power to the camera to protect your car battery from going too low. So some cameras, even cheaper cameras, do have some sort of parking mode feature or motion detection, but what a lot of the cheaper ones don't have is buffering of the recording. So say when a car drives by my car, it triggers the motion sensor, but it's not going to just start recording after it's triggered. It records 5 seconds prior because it's constantly recording or buffering the recording, but at the same time it's not constantly recording and draining your battery. So that is a feature you typically only find in the higher end cameras, and as far as I know right now, this is the cheapest camera that buffers the video like that. I'm sure there are some cheaper ones. None of the cheap ones that I've used have that feature though. So I'll go ahead and show a clip of what that looks like, and you'll see a car will drive by about 5 or so seconds after the recording starts, and the car is actually what triggers the video. With the PowerMagic Pro, you can actually set the time and how much voltage you want it to cut off at. So this is all in Korean, but if you buy it in the US, the regular version, it will be in English. But these switches down here, you can do anywhere from 0 to infinite hours, and in between there's like 6, 12, 24, 32 hours, and so on. And then you can have the voltage threshold at 11.8, 12, and then like somewhere in the 24 voltage range for big trucks. But this will really help you make sure your car is being monitored or covered in a parking lot. So say someone backs into you and doesn't leave their information. This should hopefully capture a license plate depending on how you have the camera set up. So the reason I bought this version is because I have a front and rear camera. That way I will capture someone backing into the back of my car. But if you are using something like this and you really want to make sure you capture anyone backing into you, you'll want to reverse into parking spots. That way your camera is pointed out. So I wanted to do a size comparison of the DR650. This is the camera I use every day on the front of my car. Here you can see it actually has a little cover for the side. You can see the plug-in for the rear camera. The other side has a touch sensitive or motion sensitive area that triggers the audio. So you can see it's a lot smaller than the DR650. It does make it a lot easier to hide. So on this one, like I showed earlier, instead of a motion sensitive trigger, it's an actual button. And then there's no cover on the side of this one. So I'm going to go ahead and show some footage from the camera. Now most of this footage is before I updated the new firmware, but with the new firmware it was less than 1 megabit per second improvement, and it does look like it's slightly better, so I'll show a comparison, but it's not that much better. I had a lot of footage from good driving conditions, and I wanted to show what it looks like in different conditions. So this footage is pretty typical day footage. You can see it was blue skies that day. The sun's shining at the camera a little bit, but my biggest issue with the quality of the video is it seems at first like it wasn't focused very far away, but I think it's actually just the cheaper image sensor. I compared it to a lot of other footage on YouTube from this camera, and it seems pretty comparable. Oftentimes they just use really good lighting conditions to show off how good the camera looks, but in harsh conditions it's going to look a lot worse. I compared some of the footage to my DR650, which actually has a lower bitrate, but for whatever reason it looked better to me. It seemed like there was more detail, at least in cars that were further away. So that was likely due to the Sony CMOS sensor, at least that's what I would assume. So this camera does leave a bit to be desired, but like I usually say in my other videos, I think 1080p is going to be more limiting than the bitrate, at least once you get over 10 megabits per second. I compare a lot of harsh condition videos on my nicer cameras, or my cameras that have a higher bitrate, and oftentimes you can't read the license plates in those clips either if there's harsh lighting conditions. So if you want to settle for this, that's up to you. I personally think this video quality is good enough, and the other features of this camera can make up for it if that's what you're looking for. In my unboxing video, I had mentioned that the picture being warped on the far right was more my window and not the camera, but after watching a lot of other videos from other people, I think it actually is more so the camera. So that warped picture makes it really hard to read license plates on the side, but that's typically what happens with a very wide-angle lens. If you have a car with a steeper windshield and a shorter dashboard, you'll likely have a lot less issues than I do, because my car has too much reflection from the really long dashboard and the really low slanted windshield. So this clip here is actually the same off-ramp, but now at night. So with a decent amount of light around you, the camera performs okay at night. I would say it's better than a lot of the real cheap cameras. But like I mentioned in a lot of my other videos, my headlights seem to suck and I need to get some better headlights. So this clip is actually after I updated the firmware. It's hard to say if it looks better or not, and more than likely, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're not going to see the difference anyways because YouTube compresses the video. But to me, it did sort of look like it was better looking. It's really hard to say though in the end because it's such a small bump that it likely makes very little difference, if any. I chose this clip though because when you're going around that clover leaf, you actually see how the wide-angle lens warps the picture on the side. So I was able to get some footage during a mild blizzard last week, and I was actually pleasantly surprised at how good it looked. I think the white snow actually makes the picture look better because now light is reflecting a lot more. So I'm not going to go too much into detail with the Blackvue software because I have in prior videos, but just like any other Blackvue camera, it will support their own software, which is pretty in-depth. I do really like the timetable down at the bottom. It makes it real easy to find footage. And also if you have the GPS module, you can get GPS data and view the maps or view the real-time data on a Google map. Here you can see the basic settings like resolution, the image quality, brightness, and then you have a few settings like normal record or voice record, and basically those are just what the camera defaults to. You can set the mile per hour display on or off, and you can actually set the length of recording for both normal and parking recording. And then if you want parking recording automatic. So here we got the sensitivity, which I usually don't mess with much, but users might want to consider turning down the motion detection because if it's too high, even trees blowing in the wind will set it off. And the last tab, you can see where you can change the settings for the LEDs and the voice alarms. Now, the biggest drawback with this Blackvue model is since it doesn't have Wi-Fi, you are going to have to change these settings on your PC. So that is quite a big drawback if you want to be able to customize your settings while in your car, because you're not going to be able to do that with this model. So you'll have to make sure to set your settings the way you want before you start using the camera. So since I started making this video review, I noticed that Amazon had actually dropped the price from $190 to $178 with free shipping. Now that price change might have just been from a third-party seller, I'm not totally sure. But I also looked at the price available on blackboxmycar.com, and they're the ones that actually provided me with this unit for review. Right now they have it for $143, so that right there makes it very competitive, I think, to other cameras that are around $100 because of the special features this camera has, like the voice alerts or the parking mode. So you can add the PowerMagic Pro for $20, and also he was kind enough to give my viewers a coupon code for $10 off. So if you decide to purchase this camera or any cameras from blackboxmycar.com, you can use the coupon code US- and that'll get you $10 off any purchase of $80 or more. So you're looking at about $133 plus shipping, or $153 with the PowerMagic Pro for this camera, and that makes this a really full-featured camera other than not having GPS or Wi-Fi. But like I said, compared to those $100 cameras or cheaper than $100 cameras like the G1W, this has a lot more features. So I think this camera is actually a very good option for a lot of people now that I noticed how much cheaper you can get it than what I initially thought. So if you're looking for a camera that has a lot of features but don't need the GPS or Wi-Fi, then I would definitely take a look at this. You're going to have to accept that the bitrate is a little lower, but you can watch the clips from this video again, or any of the other clips from like Alex Sol or other users, and you can judge for yourself whether or not you think the video quality is good enough. I know if you go to dashcamtalk.com, there are some raw footage clips from Alex Sol, so typically YouTube compresses the video quite a bit, so you're going to get a better comparison if you download the raw files. But overall, I think the pros of this camera outweigh the cons, and getting it for less than $150 I think really puts this camera at a good spot. I was going to say earlier that I didn't think it was going to be an easy sell for Blackvue, but at the current prices I think it is actually a viable option. So if you like this video or any of my other videos, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.